Okay, so let's talk about doing a internal tank standpipe. All you need is a bulkhead tank fitting, and this one's slip on the inside. Now the slip ones that I've generally seen are righties, tighties, lefties, loosies. However, if you choose to go with a threaded bulkhead tank fitting, they're generally a lefties, tighties, righties, loosies, which is great to know if you have students helping you out. Okay, now if your fish are a bit larger, you just simply have your standpipe just gonna sit in it like that. Okay, now what you'll want to do is have another pipe over the top of it with a cap at the top with some holes to keep fish from jumping down, and then that'll sit down over the top of this thing, and at the bottom of this pipe that covers your standpipe you'll have some holes just large enough to let material and fish manure go through, but keep the fish on the inside of the tank. And those holes and this covering being much taller than the standpipe, the only way for water to come into the standpipe is from the bottom, and so you'll have a suctioning power that's going to take the fish manure or fish mung from the bottom of the tank and get rid of it. Otherwise, you're stuck with a siphoning hose. Now, if you have smaller fish that you're dealing with, you're going to want to try something else. So what you're going to want to try instead is you're going to want to have an internal standpipe, and you'll want an outer pipe that'll be the size of this. Okay, so you're going to want a smaller standpipe in the center of it, and you're going to want an outer one that's going to sit down in there. Now, why is that? Because if you're dealing with fish fry, the problem is you're going to have fish that'll slide through the openings if you had just a larger pipe sitting over it. Okay, and so this works really good for small tanks where you're raising fry. And what we'll do is, and this is kind of how it'll work, is you're going to want a reducer. Now this is the old style. This was great, and if you can find something like this, this is the ideal situation. Today they look more like this. If you can't find these on a shelf of an abandoned hardware store, then you're going to be stuck with this. But here's the problem. In order to make this little setup for smaller fish fry, you don't want to have these holes on it, because you are going to be removing the bottom half of this reducer. And so this one is a 2-inch to 1-inch reducer. You'll generally want to go with something smaller unless you can find yourself some 2-inch Schedule 20 pipe. Now most of our pipe today is Schedule 40. The only way you're going to find a 2-inch Schedule 20 pipe is if you're looking at people that have vacuum systems that they put in. That's the only reason that they're using a Schedule 20 today, is for vacuum systems in like wood shops and things. So realize that Schedule 40 pipe, this is what Schedule 40 pipe is, it's always got the same outside diameter. A Schedule 80 pipe is going to be much thicker, but it's going to have the same outside diameter. And then a Schedule 20, which would be the ideal in this circumstance, is going to be much thinner walled, and it'll allow you to have some space. If you can find some Schedule 20 2-inch PVC, then go ahead and go with a 1-inch or a 2-inch that reduces down to a 1-inch. If you can't find a Schedule 20, go from a 2-inch to a 1/2-inch or 3/4. So that's what I've got here, is this old style 3/4. So let's say you can't find one that's like this, and you're stuck finding something like this. Well, what you'll do is you will find a reducer like this that is doesn't reduce down as far, and then you'll find an insert that'll go into that. And that's how you'll do that, because once again, with these openings on this, if you were to cut it in half, the water would just slide down through there, and that's not what you're going for. So how are we going to take the edge off of this? Well, the trick is with a wire wheel. Alright, so here we are. We've got our reducer and we've got to take that lip off. Here's our wire wheel. And we're just going to go around and we're going to take that whole lip off. And just like the cooking shows, we're going to go and show you what it looks like when we're done. Alright, so using a wire wheel, we took off the lip off of the reducer. So we had something to look like that. Now we're down to that. So now what we'll be doing is we're going to cut that in half using a hacksaw. Now, the side that we want to keep is the top half. The bottom half is tapered so it fits in. So that end's going to slide in really easy, and we don't want that. We want it to come up tight about halfway down. So that's why we're going to be using the top half, which is going to be put in like so. Okay? So I'm going to go use a saw and get that cut. Okay, so here we are. We took that reducer where we'd taken that lip off, and then when I said half, it's actually closer to a bottom third that you want to take, because that's about as much of the outer pipe that you're going to want. And so that end that's just been cut, that's the one that goes down. Now you're going to need to force it down a little ways. So in order to do that, I recommend some kind of hitting device. Now, for instance, this hammer here. You don't want something that fits in it, but you want something smaller, because otherwise you're not going to get something out. So, there we go. Something closer to that. I once had a boss that called everything with the end of its name called a hammer. So a tape measure was a tape hammer, a crescent hammer, everything was a hammer. Alright, that did it. There we go, we've got that in there. Now just as long as it's got a strong lip around there, that's fine. If you feel like you need to, you can put a little bit of silicone if you think you got too busy on the wire wheel. So let's show you what that's going to look like. You're going to have your standpipe that's going to be in the middle. I don't have a 3/4 inch piece of PVC, but your 3/4 inch PVC will sit in there just perfect. And then this will sit up over the top of that. Okay. Now notice with that, you will have no area after you drill some minute holes, just small enough so the fish fry can't get through there. Then you'll be able to see that there's no way that those fish can get out. Remember, on this outer pipe, you're going to have a cap near the top, and I'd have a cap that's removable, because what you can do is you can have some smaller holes drilled right here, and then near the top you can have some others that are drilled a little bit larger for when your fish get a little bit bigger and they're create more fish mung. And so that's what that looks like. So that's the outer pipe. The only way for the manure to get into the standpipe that's going to be in the center of the scene is going to be through those holes. It's going to travel up between the two pipes and it'll drop down. And that's what that'll look like. So this is what that looks like. This is actually for a drain. I've got a little line in there that's attached to the inner standpipe. Yeah, these fish are always hungry. And that's a cat screen, okay? Yeah. Alright. So there you go. That's the inner standpipe right there. And then I've got the outer standpipe that's got holes. That's what that looks like. And then I have a cap on it. And that sits right through there. Of course, there's a space at the top. And so the water comes up through the bottom, through those holes, comes up between the two pipes, and then drops down. And this keeps fish from leaving the tank, maintains the volume, and then the only way for fish manure to end up getting out of this tank is from the bottom. And so it creates a suctioning action from the bottom of the tank, keeping it cleaner, which is great. That's how that works. That's a style of standpipe that's on the inside of a fish tank.